Hi everyone, this is Pro Division for the East Coast Tournament. This tournament took place last week. Over a week ago, we're already playing another tournament, and I just wanted to get this content out there so I could use it for future reference. But I'm not even sure about my notes here because I kind of misplaced some of them in that, but we'll go through these holes as quickly as we can and get something out there anyways. So let's get started. This is hole number 1. I believe it's a par 4. And you can play this hole two different ways. You can play it down the right hand side of this fairway or the left hand side. If you're playing it down the left hand side, you're going for a rough bump. I tried that. Very easy to get a birdie if going with a rough bump, but it's pretty hard to get the eagle. I missed the hole basically in all different directions, trying every different elevation as possible. I still didn't want to go, trying different spins and stuff. Maybe you have to use a power 3 ball in order to do it. I always tried cheaping out and went with a cheaper ball. But on this particular shot, you pretty much have to go with a power 3 because you want to have a lot of side spin here. So you give it about 4.5 bars top spin, and you give it full right spin. And with this, what you want to do is give it full curl. You're not going to be able to see that during my replays here because there's a replay glitch that's out right now with a recent update we had to kind of fix the timer clock. So what I did is I believe I played this at can't really see it even. Yeah, I put the target about halfway in between the red and the yellow. I believe this is pushed up to pretty much max distance with the wood. And basically you're adjusting this at plus 10 elevation. And for the second shot, my notes are bad, but I believe the second shot we're going also with plus 10 elevation, even though it looks like it's flat ground, even though it looks like it might even be going uphill at -5. But I tried those two different elevations, -5 and 0. They didn't work very well, so I tried plus 10. Seems to work a lot better. So if you want, you can mark down your yardage here, 381. All right, here's the second shot here. Like I mentioned, I played this at plus 10. What I'm trying to do here is give it quite a bit of backspin. You kind of want to control the wind. You can see that we're getting a pretty good side wind here. So as much backspin as possible. I believe I went with about 4 bars. Pretty much full left spin. And I believe even though this looks like it's minimum distance, I played it at mid distance. Again, because of the side wind. Now this is just a straight shot, no curl to it. We did hit perfect, so you can see what happens. Pretty much just lost by a hair there. So it's just a matter of moving the ball guide just a twitch more. So that's hole number 1. Welcome back. This is hole number 2, par 3. This is kind of a tricky par 3. Again, I've been trying everything to get a hole in 1. On previous tournaments in the past, this used to be an easy par 3, but they fixed the rolls on the green to make it quite a bit harder. So with this one, what we're doing is we're just setting up the target so that the white touches the rough on the left-hand side. This way you can use that as reference every time you play the hole. You can see we're giving it about 6 side spin. We're trying to figure out the top spin. That's the important part here. I believe we went with 2. And this is played at plus 10 elevation. Now, I know we give it some curl here. I think we curled this to the outside ring so that the center of the ball was the edge of the outside ring. You can see what happened. We're not too far off, but it does need some adjustment there. but that'll give a guy a little bit of reference for the second hole. Welcome back. This is hole number 3. This here is a par 5. What we're doing here is we're just going with a high accuracy club on the first shot. Just shoot it down there. Doesn't have to be nothing special. Give it full top, about 4 or 5 bars left spin. We're just trying to hit it straight. This is played at plus 10 elevation, I believe. Doesn't matter. You can great ball this. You can hit it perfect. Doesn't really matter. You'll be fine here. That's why I chose this club. You just don't want to hit it too far here, so you don't want to give it any overpower or anything, because you don't want it going into the rough down there. So as you can see, we give it full overpower, we're still fine. The power 3 ball here is going to come in handy for our third shot. Alright, this is shot number 2. I believe we played this down the left hand side. You can also play it down the right hand side, but chose to go the left hand side here, as we're trying for a rough bump on our third shot. This here, I believe, played it at plus 10 elevation once again. What you're trying to do is set up the target so that if you great ball it to the left, you're not going to hit the rough. And the ball guide is going to be as close as possible to the rough in the front, but not too close that it's going to roll in to the rough. I believe this is somewhere around mid-distance. And it's just a straight shot, no curl to it. And there you can see we just knocked it down there, somewhere there, so we're set ourselves up nice for the third shot. Alright, this is the third shot, Eagle Opportunity. It's a long one, but still a chance here. So what we're doing is we're trying to rough bump here, I believe. We're playing this at minus 10%. I believe it's minus 10%. You can see what we're doing with our spin here. It's either minus 5 or minus 10%. And I don't really have my notes here. Yeah, it could be minus 5%. Yeah, I'd go with minus 10%. Yeah, go with minus 10%. I got that written down here somewhere. So anyways, it's 1 back, 3 right. Minus 10%. Mid-distance, I believe I played this as. And what I'm doing is aiming to the right side of the cup with this particular shot. I tried aiming it right into the cup and I missed to the left. So I went for aiming to the right of the cup here, as you can see with the ball guide. Pretty much the edge of the cup, or favors the right hand side of the cup, that's for sure. And this is nice favorable wind to take this shot. As you can see, it's crosswind. Why not adjusting down into the sand trap? So that's why I chose to go this route with this particular shot. Works out quite well. So that's hole 3. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on hole 4. Welcome back. Hole number 4. I believe this is a par 4. We're going to play with a cheaper ball here. Kind of control the wind a little bit. That's why I went with the Navigator rather than the Quasar, because we're not too worried about the side spin anyways. So I went with 2 top. What I did here is give it a slight bit of curl, just so the right edge of the ball is the right edge of the target, basically, because it tends to bounce to the left here a little bit. So you want to kind of control that a little bit. So you don't want to have too much curl. I'd like to have it fairly close to this rough here for the next shot. And that first shot was played at plus 10%. Alright, here's the second shot. We played this at 0% elevation. I noticed this ball, it's got a little roll there. It tends to roll to the left a little bit, so I like to give it a little bit of right spin when I'm doing this shot, but I don't think I give it anything on this shot. I think we just went straight at it. Really, it depends on your setup, where your first shot ends up. I like to set this somewhere near the fringe or on the fringe. So the ball tends to roll out better from there. So yeah, no curl, just straight shot here. Right at the pin, 0% elevation. And there you have it, right in the hole for an eagle. So that's hole 4. See you on hole 5. Alright, welcome back. Hole number 5. I believe this is a par 3. Played this at 10% elevation. You can play this with a Kingmaker. If you do, it's more than likely mid-distance. If you choose to go my route, Quasar, it's max distance. I believe I went 2.5 back, and I'm not sure what I went with the side spin here. It was 3.5, I believe. So anyways, what I'm trying to do here is set the target so that the red target is actually touching the rough here on the right hand side. Looks like I'm out a little bit from it. And what I'm trying to do here is look at the ball guide too, where the bounce is going to be. So those two factors is how I lined up this shot. I played this at, like I said, 10% max distance. And we missed it just by a hair. I believe maybe it's because that target wasn't quite touching the rough on the right hand side there on our setup. Could be why. I know I've gotten a hole-in-one here before with that exact setup. Right touch in the rough. And if you look at the ball guide on the front, where it ends up here, just inside that dark square. And just make sure you're adjusting properly here. Yeah, that's what I have in my notes here. It's somewhere between 2.5 by 3.5 right spin. So there you have it, hole number 5. Give you some reference. See you on hole 6. Welcome back, hole number 6. This is a par 5. I believe I played a power slice here, a power curl, whatever you want to call it. Power hook, whatever. Anyways, depending on what side you curl it to. Anyways, what you want to do here is look at my top spin, side spin. And you want to use a certain point here for reference point every time you take the shot. And that's what I did here. I lined it up to the last tree, I believe it was. Almost to the edge of this rough patch, depending on the wind. If the wind's stronger, you move it more to the left. If it's weaker, you move it more to the right. And when I did a power curl here, I took about a half a ball off. It's not quite full power to the right. I didn't quite take it full to the right here. I took about a half a bar off, or a half a ball off full. So I found this about 1.5 top, 1.5 left spin to work pretty good. Like I said, you can see where we're at with the wind here, pretty much touching that last tree just to the left of it, I believe. You can see with this particular wind, 6.8 crosswind. This shot works out well. Sets you up nicely for a second shot. Like I said, back off about at least a half a ball here from full. And second shot, what we're doing here is we're going to go with a rough bump. Alright, here's the second shot. Now I did make this shot a couple of times, but I can't remember if it was in pro or rookie. But okay, what we're trying to do is find out if it's max here or whatever. And I believe it was rookie because the wind here is kind of confusing. You can see it's some tail kind of crosswind direction. And what I did is, you know that wind's going to give yourself a push here, so I don't have the guide quite at the hole. I got it about a square or two short of the hole. And I also moved it so that it was about a square to the right of the hole. As you can see on this particular shot, this is just a straight shot played at 10% elevation. Now you can see the outcome. Basically our starting point was to the right of the hole and we still ended up left of the hole. That's because more than likely the wind is pushing it. Well, actually it doesn't make sense. We played this at 10%. If the wind was pushing it, we'd end up more to the right of the hole. But as you can see on our initial setup, we're lining it up straight at the hole. Right there. And then I move it over about a half a square to the right of the hole. Then I adjust plus 10% elevation. And then it ends up left of the hole. So the only thing difference is maybe you could take, instead of going with plus 10 elevation, go with plus 5 elevation. This way you're not pulling back so far. So anyways, that'll give you a starting point. See you in the next hole. But we'll have to work on that next tournament. We'll catch you in the next one. All right, well, this is a pretty tricky par 4 here. It's one of the hardest holes on this course, I believe. So what I chose to do here is go with a big topper, full top, 1 to 2 bars left spin. 2 bars preferably on this particular shot. What we're trying to do is line up this yellow so it's touching the rough. As you can see, the wind is going to pull us back. So we let that naturally happen. There's no adjustments here. And I believe we give this half a ball curl. Pro big topper. Yes, I have my notes for this one. Full top, 2 left. This is actually, if you're worried about the elevation, it's played at 10%. Play center bump, left hand side curl to center of the outside target. Okay, so that's how we play it. The center of the ball is the center of the outside target. No overpower. So that's how we played the first shot. That's how much curl you want to give it. That'll give you a nice, easy shot. You don't have to worry too much about it. you try doing the other shots, you're gonna get some unpredictable rolls and stuff. All right, this is the second shot. You're gonna at least 180 yard. This is not ours. That's our opponent's shot. So this here is ours. Like I mentioned, you're gonna need a club with at least 180 yards, I find, because of the wind here. This is a hard hole because we're getting a headwind on this particular hole. So as you can see, we're not giving it much topspin here. The important part here is the ball guide. You can see the dark squares on the green here. We're trying to go in between them, basically, to the left of that one on the right. That's the important part. You look at the ball guide here with this big dog. You line it up to the left of that dark square there. And you can see we're about 2 rings into overpower. So on this particular shot, I did an overpower shot. You look at the arrow and you see what the arrow moves up. When the arrow moves up at least 2 1/4 rings or so, then you know that's good overpower. That's pretty much the overpower you want. The reason we're going 2 2.5 rings overpower is because when we were trying to do our adjustments here, we could tell when we moved over our adjustments that it was 2 rings, at least 2 2.5 rings into overpower. So once again, line it up. I believe we played this at 0% elevation here for the second shot. You look at this ball guide, you can see the bounce. It's going to bounce onto the green here. We did give it a half a top spin because of the headwind, kind of head crosswind here. And watch when we're doing the adjustments. It didn't show on that replay, but it showed on the other one. But yeah, excuse me. Let the arrow move up so it's at least 2 rings overpower. I believe we hit great ball here. Why it went to the left a bit. But anyways, that'll set you up for not easy, but a birdie, which is good on that hole. We'll catch you on the last one. Alright, I kind of messed up with my pausing here of my video, so I don't even know where I'm at right now. Here I am talking away and it was still on pause. So anyways, this is hole number 9. Played at +5 elevation, I believe. We're going to go full right spin, about 3 bars top spin. I believe we lined this up so the red target was halfway into the rough, and played at +15 yards. If you're using an extra mile 7, go with the +16 yards. You can also go with +14 here. Now the trick here is played at +5. The trick here is get the proper curl in it. And I believe we went with over a half a ball curl. We went with about 3/4 ball curl actually. So just make sure you get the proper curl on here. We could even win a little bit more curl than that. That'll set you up for a second shot. Here's the second shot. We played this at -5 elevation. This here particular shot, what I like to do is go with, depends on what division you're playing in. This here pro division, about 4.5 backspin. Playing in rookie, I'd go with 4 backspin. I'm not even sure if we made this shot. Definitely have to hit perfect. And yes, we did. There's the albatross, and there's the tournament. Thanks very much if you're watching these videos. Sorry it didn't come out earlier, but it'll help you in future tournaments because we'll be playing these holes many a time. So take care, best of luck in your future tournaments, and thanks again for watching.